You know, when we think about history, we usually think about big battles and empires, right? But today, we're going to talk about a totally different kind of power. We're talking about a financial scheme. A scheme so infamous that the guy who created it, well, his name is now a warning we still use a century later. This is the story of the Ponzi scheme. Yeah, this is a story about a destruction that happens silently. There are no armies, no weapons. It's built on something much simpler. Promises. Promises of easy money that tap into two of the most powerful human emotions we all have: greed and, of course, hope. So, who's at the center of all this? Not some king or a general. Nope, it's a man who just dreamed of being one. His name? Charles Ponzi. So Ponzi's story starts back in Italy, 1882. He came from a family with, a historic name, but not a lot of cash to back it up. So like so many others, he heads to America in 1903 with these huge dreams, but like $2 in his pocket. And let's just say the land of opportunity wasn't exactly rolling out the red carpet. He's bouncing from one odd job to the next, getting fired all the time. This was not the life he imagined for himself, not at all. And this is really the key to understanding him. He was driven by this one single belief. He was not going to die an ordinary worker. It wasn't just about getting rich. It was about status, about being somebody. He had this deep, burning feeling that he was destined for more. And honestly, he was willing to do just about anything to get there. So after things don't work out in the US, he heads up to Canada, lands a job at a bank. But this bank, was hiding a pretty dirty secret. Turns out they were using money from new customers to pay returns to the old ones. Sound familiar? Well, the bank eventually went bust, but Ponzi, he walked away with a priceless and very illegal education. He learned a crucial lesson. As long as you keep getting new money in the door, and as long as nobody asks too many questions, a complete fraud can look just like a booming business. Okay, so fast forward to 1919. Ponzi's back in the US. He's even done a little time in jail for things like check fraud. But this time, he's got a plan. And this wasn't some small-time scam. This was an idea that sounded kind of genius. Really sophisticated and official. And what was the plan? Well, here's the hook. Get this, a 50% profit on your money in just 45 days. I mean, think about that. Back then, you were lucky to get a few percent a year from a bank. This was completely revolutionary. How could anyone resist that? So, you're probably wondering, how on earth did he promise that? Well, he had a great story. It was called postal coupon arbitrage. The official line was that he'd buy these international postal coupons for cheap in countries where the economy was weak, then he'd bring them to the US, swap them for more valuable stamps, and then cash those in for a huge profit. And this is where you see his real genius. It was so technical, so complicated that most people just nodded along. They didn't understand it, so they didn't question it. But here's the thing, it was all a lie. There was no arbitrage. He wasn't really trading postal coupons, not in any meaningful way. The real system was much, much simpler. He was just taking money from new investors to pay off the early ones, a simple cash shuffle. It was the exact same trick he saw at that bank in Canada. So why did so many people fall for this? Well, Ponzi was basically a master psychologist. He knew exactly which buttons to push. First, you've got pure greed, right? The dream of getting rich without lifting a finger. Then he hits you with the fear of missing out, FOMO. He'd say, this is a limited opportunity. And then the final nail in the coffin, herd mentality. When you see your friends and neighbors getting these huge payouts, it's almost impossible not to jump in yourself. And wow, did it work. By 1920, this thing wasn't just a scheme anymore. It was a full-blown national craze. We're talking lines of people literally wrapping around the block, all of them just desperate to hand their life savings over to Charles Ponzi. And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, at its peak, Ponzi was taking in $1 million a day. And this is in 1920s money. That's like tens of millions of dollars today, every single day. The machine was just printing money, or so it seemed. Oh, and the press loved him. They called him a financial genius. The public saw him as this hero, the little guy who figured out how to beat Wall Street at its own game. People mortgaged their houses, cleaned out their savings accounts. They gave him everything they had. Because from the outside, for a little while, it looked like it was working perfectly. But here's the catch, the fatal flaw that's built right into the system. A Ponzi scheme is basically a mathematical monster. It has to be fed constantly. It needs more and more new investors, an infinite supply, really, to pay off the earlier ones. The second that flow of new money even hesitates, the whole thing is guaranteed to collapse. It's never a question of if, it's always a question of when. And the when came very, very quickly. A few journalists started digging. Financial experts started running the numbers, and they figured out, wait a minute, for Ponzi's story to be true, there would have to be more postal coupons in the world than actually existed. Once that story broke, pure panic. Everyone rushed to get their money back. And that's when they found out the truth. The money just wasn't there. The vault was empty. So Ponzi gets arrested. Millions of dollars are just gone. Thousands of families are left with absolutely nothing. But the craziest part of this whole story isn't what happened to Charles Ponzi himself. It's what happened to his idea. Yeah, his final years were a world away from his time as a millionaire. He gets out of prison, gets deported back to Italy. He tries a few other things, but nothing works. He ends up dying in 1949 in a charity hospital in Brazil with absolutely no money to his name. But his scheme, his idea, became immortal. It's actually fascinating how little the playbook has changed. I mean, look at this. Today, the tools are different, sure. Instead of postal coupons, scammers talk about crypto or AI trading bots or some secret system. The promises sound a little more modern, but the engine underneath it all, it's exactly the same. Use new money to pay old money. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? When you boil it all down, Ponzi wasn't really selling an investment. He was selling hope. The hope for an easier life. The hope that you could escape the 9-to-5 grind. He was selling the get-rich-quick dream. And that is a powerful, timeless desire. Which really leaves us with this one last powerful thought. Ponzi's story is a warning that's just as relevant today as it was 100 years ago. He proved that hope, which is such a beautiful and necessary part of being human, when it's left unchecked, when it's not tied to reality, well, it can become the most expensive and the most destructive thing you'll ever buy.